Welcome to the Let Me Save You 25-Year podcast, where we break down a new Shawnism each week. Each one is a little lesson I've learned along the way in hopes that you can maybe learn from my mistakes and build great things even bigger, better, and faster than I ever did, perhaps shaving a decade or two off of your own journey. Let's hope. Give it a like, give it a follow. Follow this podcast. Please share it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Do it now in the spirit of doing things now. My book called Let Me Save You 25 Years, where today's epic topic comes from, is intentionally really short. So think of this as the long version of the book where we can go even deeper into the Shawnisms that each chapter is based on. Just like our topic today, drum roll please, be what you will be, not what you are. A long-standing Shawnism, otherwise known as fake it till you make it. The story in the book, look, I'm working for a year in China. I've left Lovesac behind to take this internship in China to wrap up my final semester of school. After this internship, I have to come back home and face Lovesac. Wrap up in China, fly back home. I have this job waiting for me back in China. And Lovesac's still going. My buddies had kind of kept it alive. And I was honestly a little bit frustrated because this side hustle of mine, Lovesac, had just eaten my money. You know, I was a waiter before I went to China for that internship. And I was basically making money to keep this company afloat the whole time. And now I got to go back to it. And everyone I tell, like, oh, man, I'm closing Lovesac down. I'm wrapping up this last semester of school. I'm going to fly back to China and take this job that's waiting for me. They're like, no, you can't close Lovesac. We love our Lovesac. What are you thinking? Like, it's the coolest brand. I got your t-shirt. So I decided to give it one last shot. And we take it to this trade show and in Chicago. And it cost us like $15,000 to, buy a booth and fly out there and ship our stuff out there and set up the trade show. And I had asked around, just doing the next thing, right? How do I show this thing off? And someone had recommended that I go to this show in Chicago where big companies look for products for their new seasons, whatever, new ideas. And lots of big companies looked at our product, jumped in a sack, loved it. No one bought anything. Came back home dejected, feeling terrible, like we just burned through $15,000 on credit cards. But at least now I could close Lovesac down, wrap up this last semester of school, and be done with it. And I'm down there stuffing a sack one day, and my phone rings, and it's an out-of-state number. And so I thought, well, maybe it's someone from the trade show. Answer it. Lovesac Corporation. And sure enough, it was someone from the trade show, and they wanted 12,000 little sacks stuffed in time for Christmas. And I said, no problem. We're the best in the world. We're Lovesac. Best not beanbag company you ever heard of. And they believed me. Really, it was me and my buddies and this dilapidated foam shredder that really wasn't even a foam shredder. It was a grain grinder. And I told them we could do their order. So at that moment on the phone, I was the CEO of the best not beanbag company in the world. And it wasn't a lie. Like, we were probably the only not beanbag company in the world. And I took their order, and they FedExed me this piece of fabric with this blue fuzzy fabric, little silver specks in it that they wanted. It had to be this price, super low, because they were working on tight margins. Had to be the whole order, 12,000 sacks, had to be done in time for holiday season, which meant it gave us like 6 weeks after the time that these things would show up from Asia. And I just had to fake it till I made it. I had to be what I would be, not what I was. At the time, I was a waiter. I was a college student. I had no experience in big business. but I projected myself as the CEO of the best not beanbag company in the world. And that attitude persisted when I flew over to China and found the fabric that they needed for that order, and told them I was the CEO of the best not beanbag company in the world. And I tried to dress that way, act that way, and behave that way, speak that way, email that way. Uh, and I'm a big believer that you just have to be what you will be, not what you are, because nobody is ever at the place that they really feel arrived, right? Like if you're living a life of ambition, you're always ahead of where you are. So you have to be what you will be, not what you are. What will you be? Decide that, uh, dress like it, project it, act like it, think like it. In the spirit of psychology, one of my favorite books of all time is called Psycho-Cybernetics, and it talks about our self-talk. It talks about how we think of ourselves, and frankly, how our self-image is the number one determining factor of outcomes. So that's why I don't actually support the phrase that's more commonly used, fake it till you make it. Instead, be what you will be. It's not pretend to be what you will be. Be that person. Be that public company CEO. Now, maybe you don't need to go that far because that's maybe 5 steps in the future as it was for me. But let's start with just be the leader of the organization, leader of the team, whatever it is your next big step is. Dress like it, act like it, speak like it. And believe it or not, that's how you become it. Be what you will be, not what you are. So excited to get into this topic with today's guest. It's going to be a good one. I am your host, Shawn D. Nelson, founder of Lovesac, and with me today is perhaps the most successful male Instagram. I'm talking 1.8 million, and on YouTube, 3.9 to almost 4 million followers on YouTube influencer that I'm aware of, the founder of a fashion brand, skincare brand, hair products company, who I thought would be the perfect chat with us today about Shawnism #5. Be what you will be, not what you are. I feel like not only has he been coaching literally millions of people on how to do this exact thing for many years now, but I believe his own story unlocks a lot of truth behind this timeless skill that every person of ambition today must learn. I'm honored and grateful to think of him as a friend. And I must say, now that I've stopped buzz cutting all my hair off after 10 years, I've learned everything I ever needed to know about dealing with hair longer than 1 centimeter from this man and his Instagram, Mr. Alex Costa.
Wow, dude, I feel like I need to just walk into the field like running with smoke coming out. That was a great intro.
Right.
Thank you
Rip your
so
shirt
much.
open,
Yeah,
show off
you
that
hyped
six
me
pack.
up. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me at your beautiful, amazing event that you had the other day here in New York City. It was so fun. Lots of celebrities. You're a cool guy, Shawn. You got some
Uh,
contacts, my man.
well, you know, with enough money, Alex, you can make anything look cool. No, it was
Uh,
fun to throw that event. We threw a 25th anniversary event to celebrate Lovesac's 25th, which is of course apropos to this book. Let me save you 25 years. The podcast, all of it's happening around the same time. And Alex was good enough to come hang out, but it was cool. It was cool. I felt, yeah. Look, it was our event. I didn't really know even what we were doing, hurtling ourselves into your world, really the world of influence, the world of celebrity. Trying to figure out how we get more eyeballs on our brand is and celebrate this milestone, because while there's plenty of brands burning hot, to also have survived 25 years, we're proud of that, because as you might know, we make products that could be with you for another 25, and so we believe that that means something to us, and that's the reason for this book and the podcast and everything else. So um appreciate you supporting it. And I it's along the way we've collected friends of the brand, and I consider you one of those. And anyway,
Thank you so much. No, it was a really cool event. I love my love sack. Let me just get that out of the way now.
cool.
It's the most comfortable seat at home for sure. And everyone that comes over sits on it is like, what is this? I should get one. I'm like, yes, You should. It's a love sack in
Love it.
all different sizes. You should definitely get one.
That's
And the
awesome.
event was awesome. Coming in, seeing the step and repeat that you had with, the press, free drinks, which was amazing. And then you had all the collabs there as well that you've done over the years, which was really, really cool, a smart idea. I had no idea that you guys did so many collabs with, really cool brands. So it was really cool to see the progression.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. The team's done a really good job, and Love Sack's come a long way from my parents' basement, making them for friends. In fact, so let me set this concept up, the Shawnism for today. The quick story comes from the book. My phone rings one day while I'm stuffing sacks, and we're a side hustle in college, right? We're literally making these for friends and family. 3 years, never made any money. It's a pain in the butt, but we just did this business because it's kind of funny. People liked it, um, and essentially, my phone rings, and it's this giant retailer that had seen us at a trade show. It was our last ditch effort to try and sell a lot of sacks before we shut the company down and moved on with like our real lives, our real jobs. And sure enough, we had been rejected at the trade show, but this out of state number rings. Turn off the shredder, brush the foam out of my hair, answer at Lovesack Corporation. They have no idea it's like me and this wood chipper and my buddy Dave. And they say we want to order 12,000 little sacks, for Christmas. I say, great, no problem. We're the best not beanbag company in the world, which is true. We're the only not, these were foam bags. We're the only not beanbag company in the world. But, that was my voice on the other end of the line. Flew to North Carolina to find this fabric they wanted. They wanted this very specific fabric, found it. It was way too expensive. Was able to read the Chinese on the box at the trade show. Flew to China to the fabric mill that makes this. Spoke only English with them because they have like, salespeople that'll speak English because I just want to hold my cards. And they said, yeah, we can do it. And we negotiated for like 3 days. And, I nailed the price down because like they didn't realize I was listening to everything they were saying in Chinese. And I go back to and they said, the factory said, we just need a $65,000 deposit to get started on your order. And I said, well, okay. And I'm not recognized at this time. I'm about to graduate from college. I'm a waiter. Like Lovesack made $0. It took money out of my pocket building this company. So like I'm waiting tables to pay my way through school. I'm still a waiter and I'm standing over there at this factory pretending, that I'm this international business person. I call up my retail client and I say, hey, I'm at my factory in China. I'm ready to go. All this is sort of technically true. I just need a $65,000 deposit to get started on your order. And they say, well, we're this retail. I mean, they're the biggest retailer in the United States at the time, biggest specialty retailer. We don't give deposits. And I said, well, we're Lovesack. I've never done a deal without a deposit. What's wrong with you? And they wire me $65,000 to my University of Utah credit union account for Lovesack. Not, that's all I had. And now I had spent their money and I was committed and I had to do the deal. So be what you will be. In my mind, I was the biggest not beanbag company in the world, going to build this mega brand. Not what you are, a college student with no money, a waiter, no less, and that attitude has served me well. And I just felt like, I don't know your story actually, Alex, other than what I've read online, but I just felt like, this is probably look, any entrepreneur can resonate with this concept. Anyone who's got ambition to build anything should be able to resonate with this concept. So I just
Yeah,
want to
I,
thank you.
I, I love that story. I was reading it and I thought it was so good. The way that you acted on the phone, no, we are the best, right? And this is what we do, and I will make this happen. Um, I love that so much. For me, it's, we can get into the earlier story a little bit later if you want, but when I started making videos online, I wasn't a fashion designer. I wasn't a fashion stylist. I didn't really know much about fashion, to be honest with you. I was learning as I went. So, I do fashion, hair, dating, grooming, fitness. My content is pretty well rounded for guys who just want to elevate themselves in any aspect of their lives, which means that my audience kind of looks up to me and expects, a certain standard of knowledge and value, right? And education in those topics. So I'm like, okay, how do I teach them about fashion if I don't really know much about fashion? They like my clothes. I don't really know how I put this together This
Mm.
is years ago, right? I really had no idea. I was just making things up
Yeah.
as I went in terms of fashion in my hair. And I started to learn as much as I could so I could teach it to them. And I felt like weird about it at first. I'm like, I'm not really a barber. I'm not a
Mm.
hairstylist. Why
Mm-hmm.
am I teaching them about hair health? But the truth is, I knew enough because I was learning as I went, and I wanted to become that person. I wanted to become the go-to guru on YouTube for hair, fashion, fitness, and all of that. And along the way, I definitely felt um, that imposter syndrome
Yeah.
kick in a little bit, right? I'm like, well, why am I going to do a fitness video? If there's so many fitness influencers who are actually personal trainers, who actually are massively built, they have,
Mm.
you can see every single definition and vein on their bodies. I'm not like that. I just like being healthy and fit to a degree. So it kicked in for a bit, but I just realized that I am uh, to me, it's not about being the best at fashion or, having the most knowledge when it comes to hair or the most knowledge when it comes to fitness. It was about teaching it the right way, in a way that's digestible to my audience, in a way that they enjoyed learning from me by watching it. So it was about getting the right camera angles, getting the right lighting, getting the right narrative for the story, and just putting in the work. Just putting in the work, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can be great at fashion, you can be great at fitness, but if you're not putting in the work, I'm gonna outwork you, and I'm gonna get, I'm gonna get these views. I am going to get these subscribers and get my word out there. So that's what it was for me in terms of just trying to kind of fake it till I made it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a new concept, right? Fake it till you make it.
No.
It sounds so trite. And the reason I've rephrased it in this way, be what you will be, not what you are, is because that imposter syndrome is real for anybody who's actually, intellectually honest. It can be difficult to just all of a sudden start giving hair tips when like, what do I, or fashion tips. But what's cool? Here's what's so amazing about behaving this way. So you just chose to be what you would be. You decided what you would be, right? Like you just described that, and you just decided to start acting like that. And so I feel like it's just a little bit more intellectually honest, this way of coming at it. Be what you will
Hmm.
be, not what you are, right? We're all going to evolve. We're going to grow. We're going to get taller, shorter, fatter, thinner. We're going to learn things. We might as well do it with some intention as opposed to just letting it happen to us. And
Yeah, I love what you wrote, and I actually
yeah.
wrote it down. It was like adopt the mentality of what it is you intend to become.
Mm.
And I thought that was so cool. It's so true. You have to become it and hear that mentality of what it is that you intend to become. And I thought that was really, really powerful. Something else that I saw from the book too is learn to exude confidence because confidence is free,
Mm.
right? And it's something that I had to really learn how to do because I'm typically more introverted. I'm a pretty quiet person. So then when I turned on the camera and the lights, I had to be, this kind of different person, a character almost, right? And I had to almost like, all right, I'm going to play a hype up song before I shoot. I'm going to like pound my chest. Let's do this. I'm this guy and let's go. And I had to become that person. So I really I love that chapter of your book. I think it's so powerful.
Well, there's so many things that I want to point out here as I've observed you as well, because naturally I am actually that sort of pump up guy. Like that's kind of like my mo. And frankly, I think it's part of the reason why in this world, like the world that you operate in, I actually don't frankly do that well because I think that your flatness, and when I say that, I mean that as a compliment. Like I think your evenness, sort of down to earthness, is really useful. And you've seen this trend in content. Not I think you have enough energy to carry, which is I think why you're beating your chest and playing music before you do it, right? You can't just be like a dead fish. But like,
Right.
the problem with me, frankly, is like an extrovert like me comes off really salesy and really can come off in almost the wrong. So my point is this: there's a place for me. Like I do fine on a stage. I used to play in cover bands, whatever. Like I can public speak, all these things. But also a play. There's a place for everyone. I think in your realm, and I think like you've found that magic as I've observed, that magic spot where your own talents, abilities, persona, personality, authenticity align with what you're trying to do. And what's cool, and also the medium, it aligns with the medium. And what's cool is that you now are an expert. Like, I know more about fabric than I ever intended to know coming out of school. I'm talking like down to like the molecular level. I could talk to you about open fiber, closed cell fiber, like on and on and on. The warp, the weft, like how it's milled. I never intended that, but over time I've developed that, and I could pick other topics. My point being, you know, I had to adopt that mentality that we are going to be this, amazing at the time beanbag manufacturer. Now, of course, we have even higher aspirations. But I really believe in this concept, and it's amazing how if you're willing to step out on that ledge and put on that persona, you will become that. It's magic, and now you're legitimately like a well-founded, well-respected expert in these realms. With
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, for me, like you said, I really had to become this person. I wasn't this person at all. I'm an immigrant from Brazil. I moved to the US when I was 13. I didn't speak a word of English.
Wow,
And, I moved here actually 2 weeks before 9/11. So people didn't really like immigrants back then, especially after that. So it was a pretty rough time, I'm not gonna lie. And I had to work hard and become this person, right? There was definitely luck involved, but man, it was a lot of hard work. When I started, making YouTube videos, you couldn't make money on YouTube. It wasn't even a thing. I was just, kind of learning new skills, learning how to edit videos, learning how to edit sound, and just having fun with the production aspect of it all. And for me to, all of a sudden start seeing the growth in the audience, people actually enjoyed my voice and what I was talking about in the topics. I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this on the side, just having fun and seeing where it
yeah,
takes me. But I had to really, really step out of my comfort zone as an introvert who, English is a second language, for me to actually become this person. It was pretty difficult, but I loved every step of the way, and it's been so fun. And now, to see where I am today, it's crazy, man. Sometimes I have
hmm
to, take a step back and just look at it and be like, wow, this is a great life. I'm so blessed. I'm so
yeah.
humbled and so happy with everything that's going on.
No, let's compare and contrast that, because I had every advantage, right? English is my first language. I've been a performer since I was a kid. I have a platform in Lovesack with at least some reach, and we've got at least I don't know, some credibility in the world or something like that. And I'm telling you, I vlogged every day for a year back in like 2017, and got like not even like 2,000 subscribers or something. You know what I mean? Like nothing. Now, it had other benefits in the end, but my point is not that. My point is there is magic to everything. Like Lovesack, I don't discount it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm the CEO of a public company. I was a waiter, so I'm very grateful. Like,
It's wild. It's
yeah.
great. Like your growth is incredible,
Well, my
incredible.
but my point is, what's cool about what you're doing is that this realm of entrepreneurship, and I absolutely, of course, consider creators and influencers entrepreneurs. Like, that's the problem with the word, is it's easy for some people to dismiss it, like, oh, there's some YouTube influencer or something like that. I don't know what Alex does, like, friends
Mhm.
and family, who knows. Of course, you're to put it crassly, you're making millions, but you weren't always. But here's my point: it's possible that anyone could do it. And what I mean by that is, not everyone will do it. Like, I'm a living example of that. I never popped. I never, for whatever reason, my voice, my look, my who knows, my salesy mentality, I don't know. But the point is, you did the things, you put on those clothes, so to speak, you be what you would be, and it worked, for lots of reasons. And I think, but if you never step out on that limb and go for it, you won't find out. You might be an Alex, or you might be a failure like Shawn. Now, I've succeeded in other ways, but my point is we all have, right? Like there's a path though, but you have to try. And what's cool is what you're doing is actually available to anyone. Like I got lucky. Like I stumbled into this weird industry that had this void, and we did our thing, and it took 25 years to figure out. But in a way, I talk about luck in the book, but not that's just not going to be available to everyone. There's only so many product categories, et cetera, et cetera. It's tough. I did my thing, tried it, it worked. You did your thing, tried it, it worked. But that's the key, is that you did something. You made those videos.
And I agree with you when it comes to luck. There's definitely an aspect of luck, a sprinkle here and there, up until today, for sure. It plays a huge role. But what you did, it's so much more than luck. You're still doing it, And for me, yeah, there was definitely a sprinkle of luck. I started early. I liked tech, so for me, it was like, oh, let me get this lighting equipment, let me get this camera. I enjoyed it. But in terms of going viral, getting hits on YouTube videos that like just blew me up, that never happened for me. It was very much gradual and slow growth, and I see a lot of influencers nowadays, they have so many opportunities to go viral, and they go viral on TikTok, on Reels, because it's just a lot easier now. And I'm like, wow, man, that wasn't me at all. It took
Mm-hmm.
years. I've been doing YouTube for almost 12 years now.
Wow.
And it was a very slow burn. So, when people start something and they don't see the results, especially nowadays, they want instant gratification. They don't see the results right away. They post, 5, 10, 20 videos, and they're like, I'm not getting the traction that I deserve or that I want. It's not about that. You have to keep going. And I've been consistent on YouTube for 12 years. Think about that. That's crazy.
That's exhausting.
You have to be, I think I am a little crazy. Like that sounds insane. So I've been just disciplined enough to keep pushing. And at one point, things clicked for me. I started with gaming. I started posting gaming videos, and then I started posting vlogs. And then I'm like, I don't really want to keep doing this in Portuguese anymore, because all the brands that I want to work with are American brands. So I switched my content from Portuguese to English. I tried it all, tinkered with everything, learned everything about the platform, about myself, about the value that I could bring to my audience, until, I started talking about fashion and hair, and people and guys were like, wait, how do you do your hair? And I was like, well, this is how I do my hair. I don't really know if this is right or not. And then it started getting more views than anything else that I've ever done before. So I'm like, okay, I guess guys just need a little bit of assistance when it comes to, looking good and feeling good. Let me try it. Let's see how it works. And that was really it for me. So in a way, it definitely luck was involved, but it was just a gradual burn. I'm very disciplined. I went to military school in Brazil, so I've always been pretty disciplined with that stuff, and
Yeah.
that really, really helped me grow to today. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part people don't see, is the discipline, because it just you make it look so effortless. You need to. It's like a great athlete. Like you watch a great athlete, like, oh man, they were just, I mean, they have to just been born that way. Look at the way they move. And they were, like, you have certain
Yeah.
aspects, talents you were born with. But on top of that, the Kobe's and the Michaels, I mean, we've all read their stories. Like they worked harder than everyone on top of whatever talent they may have had. And I think, so look, I really respect what you do. I think it's a great example because it really is available, and you don't know that this realm won't fit you. Of course, you also won't know after 12 or 20 or maybe even 200 videos. That's the trick, is like, you got to, I
Hmm.
mean, the discipline it takes to burn through. And that's why I'm proud of course, our 25th anniversary is, you know, I mean, you can't fake that. Like, it hasn't always been pretty for Lovesack. I mean, we've lived through every kind of embarrassing, terrible outcome along the way, but ultimately we've somehow managed through. So,
You've succeeded, yeah, and you kept pushing. Even that phone call that you got. I mean, 12,000 facts. Like
hmm,
most people would be like, I don't know how to do that for you. I'm sorry. It's just me and my buddy. That 12,000 is crazy. But
yeah,
you just took it to the chest, and you're like, no, we'll figure this out.
well, I said that on the phone. What actually I don't talk about in the book, or I haven't talked about anywhere, is I said that, I did that, I took their order, so to speak, verbally, and then they sent me this packet. and it had all these, contracts in it. Like I got to deliver by this date. And it was really, I had this other job waiting for me that was going to pay me six figures. It was like my career was waiting for me. And it was my dream job, actually. It was speaking Chinese. It was, in another country. It was like everything that I had been working toward in my education. And I dropped that packet on Dave's chest one day after he got back from his day job at UPS. And I said, he was laying there sleeping. And I said, look, man, I can't do this. If you want to do it, you can. Anyway, reject, you know, rejected it, came back to it, rejected it, anyway, ultimately we did it, and the story is a story. But uh it really was kind of an egg on the roof moment. It could have rolled either way, and my life would be so different.
It would be
um
so different. And maybe it would have been a great life too, but your life now is incredible, and I don't see a different life for Shawn. Like
it's
this is
wild.
it. It's Shawn of Lovesac. Like that's who you are. And then the 25 years of your life dedicated to this too is it's a long time. I'm on year 12. I don't know if I can make it another 13. We'll see.
Hey, but you probably, honestly, you've probably made more money in those 12 years than I have to date personally, because I've left all my money inside the company and I've had to restart and do all these other things. My point being, not that it's money, but there's just so many paths, and you just have to play it where it lies, man. You got to like take the gifts God gave you or whatever. You have to take the opportunities that come. You do have to make these moves. You have to recognize them, like you did. Like you made this pivot from being, whatever you were doing, to the hair and grooming and right. And then you kept leaning into it. Now you even coaching. Like you even coach, I think, the how to do Instagram content, right? So
hmm
it's like you have all these nodes of things that you've become good at over the time, first by faking your way there, by being what you will be, not what you are. So I'm curious how that concept might apply to these brands you're building now. You're building your own brands. It's amazing. You have a hair care brand, a skincare brand, right? You have a fashion
Yeah.
brand. Tell me about that.
Yeah. And it applies for sure. So when I started working on Forte, I have three brands. Forte Series is my hair care brand, Africa Skincare, and then ATOS is the apparel brand. And Forte was my first brand. And I got approached at a conference that I went to. It was a social media conference for men on social media who do men's lifestyle fashion content in Atlanta. Got approached by this guy and he's like, hey, I know everything about hair products. I develop hair products. Your content's about hair. We should do a hair product together. And I'm like, you know what? My audience has been requesting this for a long time, and I keep promoting women's hair products for men,
Hmm.
which it's a little different, right? Different packaging, different scents, different finish, density of the product. So let's give it a shot. But I'm not a business guy. Like I enjoy it, but I don't really know much about it, especially in the US. My family has never had a business in the United States. Like, we don't come from anything. We don't really know I don't know how to do this, basically. And
Hmm.
I had to become that person. I
Hmm.
had to sign a contract with a business partner and talk to manufacturers and figure out, the name of this brand and what I wanted it to be. And build this brand from nothing, or I guess it was an extension of myself is the best way for me to create this brand. That's what I thought. I'm like, what would an extension of myself be, this brand? And at first I went somewhere completely different that I'm so glad I didn't go, but I wanted it to be like reminiscing of my past in the gaming world because that's how I started.
Hmm.
So the name was going to be like OP grooming or something like that, for like overpowered, which is a gaming term. And then I was talking to my friend Nate Shot, who's a big gamer, and he's the founder of 100 Thieves, big esports organization.
Wow.
And he said, OP gaming, OP grooming sucks, dude. Why are you talking about gaming? Like, and I was
Gamers, they
so
don't.
hurt.
Gamers ain't using products on
They
their
don't
hair.
even
They don't
care,
know what
And
it
I
is.
was like, it just hit me. I'm like, that's so dumb. You're so right. What am I doing? So I had no idea what I was doing. And it was New Year's 2019. I was driving back from Big Bear in the back of a car, actually, and I was just on my phone on the dictionary looking at words like what resonates with me. I need a name, and I came up with Forte, Forte, which means strong in Portuguese. Obviously, I'm Brazilian, and also what's your forte? What's your thing? And it just resonated with me. So we launched Forte in October 2019. Immediately, it did pretty well. We launched with one product only, a clay. And, my business partners helped me with the whole business aspect of it while I was the one who was doing, the scent and the packaging and the logo and obviously the marketing, which I have an eye for those things, thankfully, because of all the YouTube, content that I've done in the past. All of the content that I've done in the past helped me. Um, and, now it's been what, almost 4 years. We're in barbershops, Amazon. We sell obviously a ton of online, mostly DTC, and decided to create two additional brands, sister brands, skincare and fashion. And it's been a joy to me. Honestly, that's the best part of my job right now is these brands. Just creating, like I get samples every day. And I'm sure you do too, right? So I get samples every day and I'm like testing things out, just seeing how they look, how they smell, how they feel, and to me, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a very like physical type of person. So me being able to enjoy it in my hands is different than like creating a video and seeing it go live. That doesn't give me the same high that it once did
Yeah.
before, you know?
Yeah. I think, look, I think it's brilliant how you've navigated your career, made the right leaps when you've needed to. I think that what's interesting is, I built a product upon reflection. I built a product and then tried to, figure out, even with Sactionals, customers were like, how much is that couch in the first store? And I couldn't sell the couch. The couch was just there to look pretty. But anyway, we invented Sactionals because we figured, if they're asking about it, then there's a market there, obviously. And couches is of course, they're much more ubiquitous than sacks, than giant not bean bags. And so obviously it was a good category to hurdle ourselves into. But my point is we invented this product, this our version of it, before we ever really had like a big distribution channel or a customer base. And we had to kind of figure that out over time. I feel like what's interesting is how you almost just inadvertently by following, by putting one foot in front of the other, by being what you would be, not what you are, and continue to expand your point of view on what you would be. Like what you will be today might be very different than what you thought of when a few years back. But you built this platform before you had a product, and then of course, you were able to then layer on your own products and now monetize. And you're seeing this pattern a lot with different influencers, and I think it's really brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, it is a business model of our time, and it should be respected and it should be observed and studied because while many like you have, or not many, a few like you have sort of figured it out along the way, it is a very legitimate utilization of today's technology, the movement of society, where culture has gone, and you've just kind of intuitively figured it out. But there's
And
a
and when I
point.
started, it wasn't like that. Like I said, like when I started, we couldn't even make money on YouTube. It wasn't even a thing, right? So that's where I guess the luck element plays into this because I didn't know that I would be building an audience that I could then, monetize in the future. So it worked out. I mean, obviously, it worked out really well because now I had an audience, and my audience is very specific. It's all guys, 94% male,
Mhm.
right? And the majority is 18 to 34. Very specific. So I know what my audience is. I know what kind of
Do you
content they
know if it's
like.
gay? Do you know if it's gay or straight more? I'm curious.
So obviously Instagram doesn't, or YouTube or any of these platforms don't tell me that. So I have to go
Interesting.
through like my messages and what I see. And it's the majority are actually straight. It's
Hmm.
just guys who want to dress better so they can find a girlfriend or a partner so they can, leave college and get a good job so they can nail the job interview.
Yeah.
And usually I feel like, I don't want to stereotype, but gay guys, they know how to take care of themselves.
Hmm.
And straight guys, it was a later thing for us, to be
Interesting.
acceptable, I guess.
Hmm.
And yeah, so for me, once I built the audience and I saw that I had a specific audience because I wasn't posting thirst traps, I wasn't posting, any of that. It was all guys, and they were just here to learn. So I had their confidence as well. I had their trust. And that's always been really important to me. The way that I approach my content is like, I'm the big brother. I'm going to teach you everything that I know. And then you take it from there. You got to do the work. And for me to build these brands from that was super cool because, like you said, it's the modern way to do it. Now I have an audience. I know what they want. And as a matter of fact, let me ask them again. What kind of hair product would you like? What scents do you like? Okay, let me make this product. Make it, send it out to 50 of them. Now tell me, what do you think? I get instant feedback
Yeah.
from my audience, and I know exactly what they want, so I can create products. It's like reverse engineering, right? I know exactly
Yeah.
what you need. Let me make it.
Let me comment
And
on
that's
that
been amazing.
because some of my really capable marketers at Lovesac come out of the, Procter and Gamble, Pepsi Cola, like these amazing big company consumer packaged goods brands, so CPG, and they brought a lot of this excuse me, they brought a lot of this research discipline to Lovesac, and it's it has completely upended our business model, how we operate. But what's interesting about what you're saying right there is is what you just described is like a micro version of that now, who knows, 70-year-old approach to research and development, but you're doing it almost alone without all of the heft of like a mega corporation. You obviously are taking advantage of supply chains that exist out there for like hair care products. Let's say, like, you don't have to like build a factory, I'm sure, to make
Hmm.
your,
No.
haircut. So I mean, all this is there for the taking, and you can essentially, almost like a one-man show, I'm sure there's other people involved, but almost like a one-man show, do the work of, you can compete. Think about it. You're competing head to head with Procter and Gamble for hair care products. And it is a tried and true, and you're actually doing a lot of things that they're doing as a corporation on your own, by the way, with basically no training. Even now you're offering training on the topic, and it's remarkable. And that's why I'm saying, like, what you're doing as like a high level influencer, you know, whatever, creator, is I mean, it's not just entrepreneurship, it's big business done on a micro scale. But then when you divide the spoils of that, with a denominator of one, yourself, and I know there's plenty of expenses in your life, but
Yeah,
still it's
yeah.
nothing. Like, my company has, I think, approaching 1,400 employees. You know what I'm
I don't know
saying?
how you do it.
No. What
That's
I'm saying is you're doing the same thing, Alex.
no,
And
I
I
get it. I
respect it.
get it.
You're just doing it at a different level with a different, and it's so cool that you can even do it. And that's what this modern concoction of social media, technology, branding, supply chains. Like, you didn't build those supply chains. They exist outside of you. All of this though exists, and it's at your disposal. And you got to be pretty sharp. So one of the things I wanted to drill in on a little bit is, you started as a gamer. So how can, if you had rewinded and said, I'm going to be what I will be, not what I am, when I was a gamer, you could have ended up on a very different path. And I'm sure you had some path, right? You were probably competing or whatever, I don't know, generating content online, whatever you're doing. How did you make those pivots? Because the thing that you would be, the be what you will be, not what you are, the thing that you were to be had to evolve also over time to allow you to succeed at the level you're succeeding. So any wisdom on how someone might know when to identify those pivot points, make those pivot points, have the courage? You shared one already
Yeah,
in, with your friend.
I love that you said that. Pivoting has been life changing for me. I've pivoted so many times to get to a place where I'm like, okay, this is the path. This is the path. And not to say that, I won't pivot in the future, because I definitely will. Um, but when I was a gamer, I was making content in Portuguese, number one. And so my audience was Brazilian. So if I'm trying to sell products to a Brazilian audience, it's just, and I lived in the US, right? So I just wasn't going to make a living from that. And then also, in terms of AdSense, YouTube pays you per ads shown on your videos, but the ads are based on the audience. So my audience was in Brazil, which means ads were cheaper for brands to run ads in Brazil, which means I made way less money than if my audience was American. So for me, it was really a matter of, if I don't pivot, this is never going to work unless I move back to Brazil, which, wasn't really an option for me. It took so long for me to get my citizenship in the US. Like, it was such, I had to go through so much. It was 12 years. So it just wasn't an option. And also the second reason, I started to fall out of love with gaming. It just wasn't, I was, at the time 26, 27 or something like that, 26, I think. And I just wasn't really a gamer. I was doing it as a job and I would have kept going if it was successful, but it wasn't even successful. I
Mm-hmm.
had 130,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I guess those numbers were successful, but in terms of monetizing it, I couldn't live off of that. I was broke. I lost my job at the time, so I was on unemployment for a couple of months, which to me was extremely embarrassed. I'm just not that kind of person. And I'm like, I got to change this up. Something's got to change. And, you know, um, I'm going to take a leap of faith here and just change to English and see how that goes and completely change my content. To not gaming anymore and just vlog.
Wow.
At the time, Casey Neistat was a big inspiration. That's
Mm-hmm.
when he was daily vlogging, and I fell in love with the way that he presented a story.
Yeah.
And to me, it was beautiful. It still is. I watch his videos to this day. Um, and I'm like, I made one video, and at the time, my channel was called Made in Brazil. It was my gamer tag. That's why I have it tattooed right
Mm,
here.
that's awesome.
And I made a video, and the video was called "Who is Alex Costa?" Because at the time, everybody just called me Made in Brazil. And the video was about me stopping videos in Portuguese and going into English and presenting this new version of myself. I literally reinvented myself. And, I got a lot of comments, some hate, but some people were praising me. Some people were calling me crazy, like, you're so dumb. You have 130,000 subscribers. Like, what are you doing? Just keep going.
Wow.
And it was like, everything, like, take it or leave it. It's everything or nothing right now. It's either going to happen or I'm just going to have to find a 9 to 5 somewhere, and it's okay. Um, and after a while, it wasn't easy, but it worked. But once I started posting videos in English, every time I posted a video, Shawn, I would lose about 300 to 700
Oh my
subscribers
gosh.
because nobody spoke English. None of my
But I can also,
subscribers.
if I can interrupt, I can also see how you would have been in that place where, as you made this pivot toward self care, whatever, the content was going to be as well, why you would think of, of catering to your gaming roots because you still had a lot of those subscribers, right? And,
Exactly.
and so you had to make that hard pivot of then even abandoning the sort of gaming reference in the name of the product to go all in on this totally new direction. And now you're like this super, you know, I'm not making fun of it, but like super metro, like really well put together dude. I mean, that's like the antithesis, I feel like, of the typical gamer MO. That's like I don't know. I got a gaming chair
Yeah,
with 6 bananas and like a console. You know what I mean?
for sure. And in a way, it played into it really well because if you think about it, what was my audience back then? Yeah, they were Brazilian and they were gamers, but they were men and they were maybe slightly younger than my audience now, but not that much. Especially now, the gamers are, you can be 40, 50 and still game. So when I started making videos about, when I was started vlogging, even though it was in English, I got a lot of questions from those same guys. Hey, how are you so fit and you're also a gamer? Like, how does that work? I'm a gamer. I want to be fit like you. What do you do? And I'm like, oh, I should talk about this. Okay, this is my workout routine. This is what I do. I'm not a PT, but this is what I do. And
Mm-hmm.
it did well. Alex, what are you wearing? Where's that shirt from? Oh, that's right. Gamers wear like not very cool things usually, especially back in the day. Let me show you what I've been wearing. And that's when it all started. That's when I started to research and learn about fashion and hair and really find out what I could be teaching these guys who were gamers and, didn't really know what to do with their hair, with their beards or whatever. So it actually kind of worked, in terms of I had the same audience, a very similar audience. It's all guys and they're all just trying to improve themselves. And gamers, they didn't really know how to dress or how to do their hair. So it worked out really well, thankfully. But the Portuguese to English thing was rough. That was probably the toughest time for me in terms of owning a YouTube channel and being a YouTuber because I spent so much time on my videos,
Wow.
hours, days. Would post a video and lose hundreds of subscribers. Trader. can't believe you're doing videos in English. Your audience is this, not that. You're a gamer, not that. And I just had to have like a really strong mindset to keep pushing, keep pushing
Yeah,
until
where did the courage to do that? Because I mean, that's it's not just courage. I mean, that's from the going in. It could appear to be a catastrophic error to take this path. You obviously had an instinct toward it, but what gave you the courage to see it through? You think?
two things. One, I started learning a lot about influencers when I moved to LA and just learning about where that business was going. And I made friends with some American influencers who made content, obviously in English. And just seeing the stuff they were doing was extremely inspiring to me. And I knew that I would never be able to achieve that on the path that I was on. So to me, it was like, okay, I need to be on the path they're in right now, they're on, because otherwise it's just not going to work. And um, I had at the time, my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend now, she was a beauty influencer in the makeup world. So I'll give her credit. I learned a lot from just seeing her operate, you know, and how she was working with L'Oreal and all these different brands. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'll ever work with those brands unless I pivot right now. I don't know if I'll ever become a full-time content creator if I don't pivot. So it was all or nothing. And I decided to do that. You know, I think also when I lost my job and was unemployed for a bit, that really freaked me out. And I couldn't be making, you know, $200-300 a month on YouTube. I needed to be
Mm,
making thousands of dollars a month to be able to afford my rent in LA. So it was a scary moment for me,
I
but
love that.
it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, if I can, so I heard four important. I heard four critical. I heard four critical concepts in what you just shared right there. Right, number one, you had an envisioned outcome, like you had observed others that were in the place you wanted to be, generating the income you wanted to generate, and you knew what it kind of looked like, and so that gave you the courage to just follow your instinct toward that. Number two, and throughout your story, you've listened to your customer, you've listened to your audience, you've also ignored them at times.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so but both, but you saw little glimmers of light, like, hey, what's that shirt you're wearing? Hey, how do you stay fit as a gamer? You listened, and then you studied. Number three, right? Like you were an insatiable learner. It's one of our um, guiding principles. It's one of our values at Lovesec to be an insatiable learner. And you've learned now. You're a hair care expert. You're a fitness expert. You're a fashion expert on the other side of all this. But in the beginning, you had to be what you would be, not what you were, which was none of those things really. And number
Hmm.
four, you embrace the economic pressure. I talk about this in my book, Let Me Save You 25 Years. You faced this notion of, look, I have to make money at this or I won't survive. And I think sometimes we're unwilling to quit the job or to, you know, do what we have to do to try and level up because of the fear of living with a little bit of that pressure. You've talked in some of your other interviews about um, delayed gratification. Like you've had to live a long time without like you saw these other influencers making bank. You had to grind
Yeah.
it out. I'm the same way. I mean, it took me decades before I was renting not that long ago, right? Like I never could afford a home. All my friends were buying homes with their steady jobs, and like Lovesec, it took a long time to get in a position where I could even. It's a long story, but you embrace the economic pressure that motivated you. You have to make this work. You have to survive, and here you are on the other side of it. It wasn't easy, I'm sure.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and it was, you know, like you said. I like how you phrase it, like you're just taking it day by day, step by step, and that was really it for me, man. It was like I could envision. I kind of knew where I had to go, but you know, I wasn't really sure. This is all new to me, and that's why I was able to move and pivot so quickly because
Mm-hmm.
it was just me.
Yeah.
And when I was about to take a step, I'm like, okay, well, maybe let's take a step this way because from what I envision and from what I've studied, I feel like this is the right way. No, okay, cool, let's go the other way, right? And I was able to pivot very quickly with the content, with everything that I did, with the name of the brand. I'm like, okay, he's right. It sucks. Let's pick a new name. Let's change this whole thing out. Let's get a new logo. Scrap everything. The website. Let's figure this out. And then something really cool that happened was in all of that research, in all of that studying, understanding YouTube specifically. I got a job offer to work at YouTube and Google. And that was so interesting to me. I built this following. I started to learn about YouTube and
Wow.
started to speak English. And I got a DM on Twitter, and it was a director of gaming at YouTube. Hey, man, would you want to apply for a job at YouTube? And I'm like, I mean, I'll apply, but like, I don't have a college degree. First of all, I quit college to move to LA and pursue a dream. I was going to school for criminal justice. So I will apply, but I never thought I'm a confident guy, but I was just like, I don't think this is going to happen. Let's lower the expectations. I'll give it my all, but let's lower the expectations. And then six or seven interviews later, I got the job. So I was working in the Beverly Hills office for YouTube, and I was managing the top gaming creators in North America, which meant, I got now a close front row seat to everything that was happening in the YouTube world, and seeing these American creators just absolutely crushing the game, just learning, just understanding the platform, understanding the creator economy. And they were, and they are celebrities, right? So seeing that, I was like, this is the path. Not gaming. I'll work at YouTube for gaming and I'll continue to do that. But I know that that's not my path. But I know that being an influencer, being a content creator, that is my path. And
Yeah.
that was my one thing when I accepted the job. I said, I'll take the job. Thank you very much. The one thing is I got to continue to build my channel on the side. Am I allowed to do that while I work for Google? And I said, as a matter of fact, we love that. And that's the reason why we picked you, because you understand gaming, you understand YouTube, and you have your own channel. So the way that you communicate with creators is different. You know
Yeah.
what they want. You upload videos every day. People who work at YouTube don't upload videos every day. They don't
Yeah.
know what's broken, what needs to be fixed. And I did. And that's why I got the job. And
Wow.
that was an important moment for me. One, because I started actually making money and I could actually stay in LA and continue to live my life. But it was brutal there for a moment. But two, because then I started to just see it, and it gave me just that direction that I really needed.
Well, good for YouTube, Google for being so forward thinking. And,
Yeah.
I've made a few hires where, people didn't have degrees, but they had this natural ability, or they had some unique angle like that have been some of the best hires I've ever made. So I think that's fantastic. One other thing that, I just want to tie back to the book and this chapter of be what you will, be not what you are, that I think is relevant to you, is I talk about, putting on the clothes. Like, I think sometimes we're in this day and age, we're so uh programmed to, find your true authentic self, and like, just be who you are, and blah blah blah. And
Hmm.
it's like, uh, somewhere between authenticity and, putting your best foot forward is this place of, it's not, we talked about this at the top. It's not being an imposter. It's like, identify who you are at your core. Like, identify who Alex Costa really is at his core, in terms of like, what are your core philosophies, personality, if you can. Write a few of those things down. But then the rest, man, it's up for grabs. Like, if you wanted to be a banker tomorrow, Alex, or like get your toe into that world, besides a degree, you'd probably dress differently, act differently a little bit, whatever, carry yourself and that's fine. Be what you will be, not what you are. Like, just because it's who you are doesn't give you, it does give you the right to just be that. But I do believe in
I,
sculpting it. And I think that you're going to have more success if you do.
I agree with you so much. You have no idea, because I hear this all the time and we hear it, right? Be yourself. Just be your true self. You don't have to change yourself for anyone or anything. Yes, your core values, what you believe in, like you said, who you are. I agree. But how are you going to evolve and grow as a person if you're not trying to change yourself? My whole life has been about change, about pivoting, about you know,
Mm-hmm.
self-development. That's been my whole life. Ever since I stepped foot in the US, I had everything against me and I just had to figure it out and grow and evolve and get to that next step and the next step and the next step. That's been my entire life. So I completely disagree with, oh, just be yourself. There's a part of that, your true values and who you are, yeah, sure. But you have to me, it's so important to find your true potential. You know, find your full potential. Why
Yep.
not? It's up for grabs and you can evolve and become what you intend to become. And you're
Yes.
right. Put on the clothes, figure it out. You know, if you want to be a banker, dress like one, talk like one, hang out around bankers, and soon enough, guess what? You become a banker, you
Yes.
know?
And by the way, you will have unique success as a banker if you do those things and then still exhibit what makes you unique in that realm. So it doesn't mean you lose your personality, it doesn't mean you just conform. But I'm telling you, like if you try to do everything differently, or if you leave it all up for, you know, just if you leave it all up to luck because it's like, well, this is just who I am. That's an
Hmm.
excuse, man. You can be anything you want to be. I mean, you're living proof of this. You know, I'm living proof of this. I'm a CEO of a public company that's been worth $1 billion on NASDAQ. And I was a waiter in my parents' basement, you know, up until the day we opened the factory because I needed every dollar I could get. My point is, you exhibited, you listened, you shaped what you wanted to become, you pivoted every time you needed to, even while swimming for a very long time in certain directions, like making those videos, grinding it out. You know, it's one thing to just, other people just pivot around in circles. You know, you also need to swim for great distances before you make that adjustment. And then finally, you know, because if you're not evolving intentionally, you will evolve haphazardly. Either way, you're going to evolve. You're going to grow. You're going to grow older. You're going to change. The world's going to change around you. And if you're not doing it intentionally, it's going to be haphazard. And that's really what's behind this. Be what you will be, not just what you are concept. And I'm very passionate about it. I appreciate you being willing to unpack this with me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I love this topic, you know, just in terms of growth and self-development. Like I said, I'm so passionate about this because it has been my entire life. So that's why I love teaching guys. That's why I'm still passionate about teaching guys how to become the best version of themselves. It's not, you know, for, yeah, of course there's an aspect like, yeah, for girls and for looks, sure, but it's for you, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that the potential that guys are leaving on the table. Why not? It's up for grabs. Just go out there and get it done. If I did it, I'm sure you can do it. If you look at pictures of me, you know, from years ago, it's like that's not even the same guy. There's
Wow.
no way, you know. Like I said, unemployed, you know, almost had to move back to Brazil, didn't know what to do with my life. It was tough. And if I can do it, I'm sure you guys can do it too.
Okay, so knowing everything you know, if you could go back to, you know, you in your early 20s, what's the one piece of advice you'd give yourself or any young person starting out to maybe help them save 25 years in the spirit of this book?
If I could go back, I'd buy Bitcoin. But it's easy as that, you know? And then sell it a while back instead of holding on to it like I did. Um, but I think, you know, for me, when it comes to content, specifically, so if people are watching this and they want to be successful in content, it's gonna come down to the quality of your content and the value of your content, the consistency of everything that you do. Um, because like I said, it wasn't an overnight success for me. It was all about consistency and then also collaboration. I think a lot of people tend to just, you know, work by themselves. I read this really good book by Dan Sullivan called Who Not How. Align yourself with people who can help you, who have similar visions and values, and you go far that way. So that's what I would say: consistency, quality, and collaboration. Those three things are very, very important in the digital world.
Brilliant. Um, you can follow Alex as I do on social media, in particular on Instagram at Alex Costa, on YouTube as well, under the clever handle at Alex Costa, where he will show you how to live better and become the most interesting man in the world, or at least the best looking. Really not even kidding. And it was so cool to learn from you, not just as an influencer here, but as an entrepreneur, which you undoubtedly are. And in many ways, you represent the cutting edge of entrepreneurship in this new economy. I believe that. We are so grateful to have your insights today. Thank you to this oracle of Insta, the king of quaff, the friar of fashion, and the main man of men, Mr. Alex Costa. This is brilliant. Thank you.
Let's go. Wow. Thank you so much, Shawn. You're so inspiring. I read the majority of your book, and it's really amazing to see what you've done and who you've become intentionally. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a great
Oh,
chat.
thank you. Thank you. And to everyone listening, be what you will be, not just what you are. Grateful to be with you.